this week's best MMA bets. We're talking UFC Tampa. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks on the card, favorite underdogs, the Degen props of the night, and then we're going to finish it out with the parlays. Make sure you guys smash the likes, and if you're new, sub it up. Also, turn those post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. I'm looking forward to this week's card, but real quick, last week, the Lock City Parlay came through by a miracle. The MMA gods gifted us the Cyril Gane controversial decision. I thought Brian Battle did win. It was Gane and Battle together as the Lock City Parlay. I scored the fight for Battle, but I scored the fight for Volkov on the opposite side. So seeing Gane get gifted that decision, it was an absolute blessing for the Lock City Parlays and a lot of confident picks on the card and a lot of parlays that I know you guys were playing too. Man, on the right side of a robbery, the gambling side of it feels good, but the MMA purist inside of me hates it. I hate bad decisions on either front. I've lost fights and picks due to bad decisions in the past before. Now I win one due to a bad decision. It's unfortunate that we deal with, issues on judges' scorecards in 2024, but it is what it is. Ultimately, the gambling side of things, it was a W week, and we keep the Lock City savagery alive as we run into the final card of the year, which is going to be sad, no UFC. I'll still be doing content every day, so keep it locked in on the channel. I thought to myself, for this card, I have to do something big. I can't just, put an average Lock City parlay together at like minus 120. I said, find me plus money. And this week is going to be a one-fighter pick for the lock of the week. It's not going to be a Lock City parlay. It's going to be an underdog lock. Let's jump into it. Without further ado, the lock of the week.
Fernando El Valiente Padilla!
Fernando Padilla to beat Sean Woodson. I honestly think he has a great chance to outstrike Woodson. I feel like Woodson's got a ton of hype right now because he's got 3 straight wins. But look into the wins. It's a close split decision with Charles Jourdain. It's a win over Dennis Bazooka, and he beat Bruce Leroy, who's towards the tail end of his career, by decision. 3 wins against decent enough. 2 out of the 3 are decent enough names, but not needle-moving W's. Now, you could say, oh, well, who's Padilla beaten? He did knock out Julian Erosa in his debut, and Sean Woodson lost to Erosa. But it's not MMA math that I'm using to make this pick. It's seeing evidence that the skill set Padilla brings can actually give a lot of trouble to Sean Woodson. Padilla has a nice right hand. He also is a good pressure-based striker. Now, he does have good length, but he likes to move forward. Woodson being more of a counter shotter using slickness from the outside, he tends to have speed advantages over a lot of guys, but there is something major about recent opponents from Sean Woodson that differ here, and that's the ability to land the punch on him, right? The range advantage that he has last time out against Bruce Leroy may not have been that crazy. Bruce Leroy's got a 73.5-inch reach. Woodson has a 78. Honestly, it's kind of wide. Caceres just seems taller. But it's not like Caceres is known for super slick or explosive striking, right? And the matchup makes sense why Woodson was able to touch him up. I picked Woodson. Charles Jourdain, Sean Woodson. I picked Woodson there. Woodson had a freaking 9-inch reach advantage. Woodson and Dennis Bazooka. He had a 7.5-inch reach advantage. Freaking Bazooka's 5'9". He's unproven in the UFC. He's catching L's. And now he's fighting a really good prospect, Fernando Padilla, who is, yes, 1-2 in the UFC, but lost to Kyle Nelson in a fight where he won the first round and had competitive moments. It seemed like it was an off night for him, and that fight was over a year ago. Training with Timo Yama, that's a major factor. He's at a better gym than Sean Woodson. He's got better sparring partners, more high-level looks each and every time. I get it, Woodson's on a roll right now, and he's 12-1-1 as a pro, but he's fighting backwards in the rankings when I thought, he'd be fighting someone ranked after racking up a 3-fight win streak. And the guy he's taken on is a very dangerous Mexican fighter. I think Padilla's a hard stylistic matchup. You look at the last time Woodson fought a Mexican fighter, Luis Saldana. He was nearly knocked out in the first round. Saldana had the fight, but he sold. He dropped Woodson, walked away, trying to get a freaking walk-off KO. He dropped Woodson again, and he knees him in the face illegally. And there was a big adrenaline dump for Saldana, celebrating like he got the knockout, and then getting told he's got to fight on. That was 2 years ago. It wasn't, that recent, but it also wasn't super long ago. And Woodson's chin has been tested before. We've seen him cracked, and he hasn't fought someone since then with much range or power. Padilla is 6'1". He's an inch shorter than Woodson. He has 2 inches less of reach. Woodson's still pretty hittable. Even though he's a slick boxer, he's not a heavy puncher. Like I said, relying a lot on movement. Padilla's going to land some big right hands. Padilla's going to get in his face. And I think Fernando Padilla is very live to knock Sean Woodson out. And I think he's being completely slept on as far as the betting side of things. I mean, currently you're seeing him at what? Plus 135? He's plus 135 because of maybe a lacking amount of UFC experience, but the talent is definitely there. Made easy work of Luis Puello 8 months ago. He's also only 27. He's nearly 28. He's a few days removed from his birthday. So 28-year-old prospect who has shown a ton of upside. We're going to write him off because of a Kyle Nelson loss against Sean Woodson, who's decent at 32, but I don't see him making a run for the belt. His best attribute is length and his ability to move. Padilla is pretty damn long for featherweight also, and he brings solid pressure and a dangerous striking style. Padilla's going to look to get in his face and make it a dirty fight. Even though Padilla's technical from distance when he wants to be, he can also mix it up inside. And I see openings available on Sean Woodson, who does like to keep the hands a little bit low at times, does like to use a lot of feints and movement, and isn't a big puncher. We already got Padilla with that Mexican chin. Now on the opposite side, we get somebody that doesn't have a huge thudding shot. I think Padilla's walking him down with power. I think Padilla's going to hit him with some big punches and kicks. And I think Padilla is actually live to chin Sean Woodson and pull off a pretty nice upset here. I mean, he's being completely slept on as far as odds, right? What is he sitting at? I said plus 135, KO's plus 500, and nobody seems to be picking him on Tapology. I'm surprised by that. I really am. I think that Padilla's game is getting overlooked. I think because he lost to Kyle Nelson, it's like his stock dropped a ton, when in reality, he's still that same prospect that came in and beat Julian Erosa. He's a talented striker, and the matchups that I think give him trouble are guys with good pressure wrestling. I don't think Sean Woodson can just stay away from him and pepper a jab for 3 rounds. I think Padilla training at a good gym, you're going to see consistent improvements. Him only being nearly 28 years of age, he's super young in the game. I feel like Padilla by knockout is so live here. Ultimately, the money line is what the lock is, though. At plus 135, I think Padilla is live to pull through as an underdog and beat Sean Woodson. I can see him putting Sean Woodson's lights out, and I think the Padilla stock rises big time heading into 2025. And in my opinion, he's also getting a bit of a push by the UFC, getting a fight against Sean Woodson, which I didn't expect when they announced it. You'd think Woodson would be fighting somebody towards the top 15, top 12. Instead, they're sending him to somebody way far back. Is it, they want to give Woodson, a little easy tune-up? No. They need to test Woodson again before they rush him up in the ranks. And I think the test is going to be a failure because Padilla is a hard stylistic matchup for him. And that is why I'm picking Fernando Padilla as my dog lock for UFC Tampa. We had to do it. Let's go. I'm very happy about this week's lock. I'm looking forward to this. Not a Lock City parlay this week. We'll talk parlays at the end. You'll see Padilla's name, but a good straight underdog lock. Let's jump to the next section. Most confident picks. So I will bring 4 up on the screen, but I'll also bring a 5th one in at the end. First one I think is kind of, obvious. It's Yoel Alvarez. He is a lot longer than Drakkar Klose. He's dangerous in striking and dangerous in grappling. Last time Klose was rocked, and he was also nearly caught in a gilly against Joaquim Silva. Yoel Alvarez is good from distance. He's got nice Muay Thai-esque kickboxing. He's dangerous on the ground with long arms, nasty choke game for sure. Yeah, he's a huge favorite, but I think he's a lock to win. I mean, odds aside, he's definitely a lock of the week. I get it. It's a little wide at minus 425. It's something that you have to parlay up, but I see him as a winner. I see him getting an inside distance at minus 160. I think he's very live for the sub at plus 200. I can see Drakkar Klose getting caught on the feet and then shooting for a takedown and getting locked in a submission. So the official method of victory that I think is going to happen is sub. But if you don't want to chase, these specifics, you think maybe he's live for a knockout because he is dangerous on the feet too. I think inside distance is not crazy at all at minus 160. The money line might be wide, but a confident parlay piece for certain, as I think they're in different career positions. Drakkar Klose, listen, he's like 7-1 in his last 8 fights, but opposition level is a little bit different. different, right? In the way Alvarez is finishing these fights, a little bit different. Alvarez's only recent loss is literally Arman Sarukian. So I think Yoel Alvarez, he's a top 15 guy that's just not in the top 15 right now. And I think he's going to be heading into 2025. And I think he's going to get a nice win over Drakkar Klose in impressive fashion. Let's keep going. Vitor Petrino at minus 275. He'll win this fight. I get it. A lot of people are really writing him off because of the Anthony Smith fight, but can we keep it 100 about the Smith fight? He put himself into the gilly. Smith's only way to win that fight is catching a sub, and you literally give it to him. Smith's a legit black belt in jiu-jitsu. If Petrino would have decided just to box, he probably would have knocked Smith out. He was having success on the feet, but then he wanted to wrestle. He's fighting Dustin Jacoby. He's pretty much just a kickboxer. He's not known for submissions whatsoever, and I think Petrino has a massive grappling advantage. Petrino can literally shoot in and learn nothing from the Anthony Smith fight and do the exact same thing, and Jacoby is not going to catch him in a gilly. I think that Petrino is probably going to get on top in this fight, beat up Jacoby a bit, work his grappling. Even though he has quality striking, you do have to respect Jacoby's straights. He does got a pretty decent straight punch. He moves relatively well, but I think he's towards the end of his career where Petrino's like a super talented up-and-comer. And even though he lost to Anthony Smith, it's not mission abort. It's not jump ship. This is a matchup that he wins. Fight IQ mistake cost him the fight. This one here, he's not even dealing with that type of threat. I don't think Jacoby really has the power to put Petrino away. Even if he does catch him, Petrino is freakishly built. Petrino has big power. We saw Jacoby dropped bad last time by Dom Reyes. I can see Petrino catching Jacoby on the feet, but I think the safest path to winning is mixing in the grappling. I don't think Jacoby can consistently stop takedowns, and I think Petrino on top can either TKO him with ground and pound or potentially win by submission. Now, minus 275 is wide. Submission caught my eye, though, because sub is plus 550, and Petrino has relatively good jiu-jitsu. I can see him locking an arm triangle or a rear naked choke on Dustin Jacoby. Now, I understand some people might like Petrino ITD inside that distance from minus 125 if you want to play it more on the conservative side for sure. Or maybe you're doing Petrino straight in a parlay. That's not a horrible idea either. Could he end up winning a grind-heavy decision? Maybe. Jacoby, relatively tough. And Petrino has won decisions before. He's not going to force a knockout, and he's not going to force a submission, but stylistically speaking, I think Jacoby is very vulnerable on the ground against Petrino, and I expect him to exploit Jacoby's grappling weakness. So give me Vitor Petrino as a true confident pick. And then the next one, good striker Navajo Sterling looking to make a showcase. He's a huge favorite around minus 800, but George Tuco Tokos, he does not have the striking game to deal with Sterling. As far as his grappling, I mean, Tokos doesn't really have the wrestling, I think, to get Navajo down, who's just better from distance. I expect Navajo to pick Tokos apart before finding a knockout. I could see him being patient and getting it at the end of the first round or even heading into the second. You can't make much money on betting the prop in this fight. It's minus 200 for that KO, minus 800 for the straight play, under 2.5. Or no, actually, we don't have on the 2.5. Fight ends inside distance is minus 260. Fight ends inside distance is not a horrible call because I definitely think Sterling's going to finish him. I'm just unsure. It could be first, it could be second, it could be third. Sterling could just pick Tokos apart and just put a volume-based beating on him up until the stoppage. Or maybe he catches him with a counter shot KO early and flatlines him. You get where I'm coming from? But yeah, he probably is getting the KO. It's a 2-to-1 odds for the KO, which is never good for a prop, but it's a confident call. I don't think Tokos is on the striking level of Sterling, and I expect Sterling to have pretty quality takedown defense. Tokos is definitely going to look to shoot, but ultimately I think that the side of Sterling training with City Kickboxing is going to have pretty shirt-up takedown defense, and I see him putting a beating on Tokos. Let's keep it running. Let's jump to the next one. It's Manel Kape, minus 365. I really love the over here, and, we'll talk that over a little more in detail in the props, the Degen props and over-under section of the night. Kape is minus 365 to win it straight. Obviously, that's ugly. Decision for him is minus 105. I think he's in a relatively competitive fight against Bruno Silva, but he's going to have a massive striking advantage. I think people are quick to forget that Cody Durden was kind of piecing Bruno Silva up, and outside of the exchange that dropped Cody Durden, Bruno Silva was getting outboxed for most of that fight. and he was also getting out pressured and wrestled. I think Manel Kape's going to be a lot slicker. I think Kape can touch him with some decent punches and kicks, and I think Manel Kape is going to get his hand raised. I think there's a pretty good chance we're going into the later stages of this fight. Kape showcases his speed advantage. Kape, he gets overlooked a little bit. I mean, but he gave Mokaev a tricky enough fight. I get it. Mokaev's just a pressure wrestler who got cut from the UFC, but Manel Kape's a good talent. I think he picks his shots well. I think in a technical display, he's going to be a bit quicker than Bruno. I think he gets it 2-1, even 3-0 potentially. Silva's going to fight hard. He's not going to quit, and I don't think that Silva's even going to get knocked out. I think it's probably going to be Kape looking fast on the feet, outstriking him. Silva looking to pressure in moments, but getting caught on the outside a lot. And I think we're pretty live to see Manel Kape, take all 3 rounds. A knockout of Bruno Silva would be badass, but Silva is a pretty short and stocky guy, and I think he's got a nice chin on him. Tough Brazilian. So I'm going to say Manel Kape wins a unanimous decision. I like Manel Kape's chances a lot here. Flyweight fight, I'm anticipating it goes to the later stages. We're going Kape for the dub. Now, honorable mention, Miranda Maverick, minus 600. She should definitely beat Jamie Lynn Horth. She is a confident pick for sure. Women's fights, sometimes these women fights go crazy. We've seen some big women's favorites take L's this year. Minus 600 from Maverick. It's a hideous line. Maverick. I'm saying it like I'm French, bro. I got the hat on every time I think I'm French now. Miranda Maverick, minus 600. The over 2.5 is minus 450, bro. Miranda Maverick should definitely catch a win. It's just more so, does she somehow sell? Like, I don't think Jamie Lynn Horth's that good, and Horth's got way less experience and is way less older, but she's a lot bigger than Maverick, so that's the biggest concern. I like that over 2.5 at minus 450. I'll say Maverick probably ekes out a decision in the fight, so Maverick to get her hand raised. Those are the most confident picks. I want to jump to the favorite dog section. Of course, it's aside from our lock dog. We got 2 of them. We'll bring them up. We got Swanson, Colby Covington. The Colby Covington pick I know is controversial, but I think he's got a live chance to outpace and out-wrestle Joaquin Buckley over the course of 5 rounds. I know Buckley's got big power in his hands, and I know he's really explosive, but I don't know how he's going to deal with the Colby Covington pace and pressure. And if you look at Buckley's whole UFC career, has yet to face a quality wrestler, especially at welterweight. The only evidence of him fighting a good wrestler was Logan Storley years ago outside the UFC in Bellator, and he got absolutely wrecked in wrestling in that fight. I think that Covington is live for landing some key takedowns, pressuring Buckley backwards, and I think winning a pretty gritty decision against a powerful guy in Buckley. And I think Colby pulls through for a big upset at plus 235. I'm saying that he's live to win it. The other one, Swanson, plus 135. I think Swanson is cleaner with his technique. I think he's got faster hands. He's also got good jiu-jitsu. I don't really think Billy Q has any, massive advantage in any area. He's probably slower on the feet. Even though Swanson's older, I think that Swanson just seems more primed right now. Billy Q, I don't know if he's losing focus. I know he opened up a gym. So he's got other things going on, and is that a big worry? I know Swanson runs a UFC gym, Costa Mesa and stuff like that, but ultimately, he runs the franchise, doesn't run the whole show. I don't know. I think he's got a good crew over there. I think he's in his flow. I think Swanson's maybe more adapted to doing a bit of coaching. I feel like maybe Billy Q is ready to check out. Now, he is a Tampa native, so ultimately, Billy Q putting up, a dog fight at home is live AF. I'm going to anticipate Swanson wins a decision at plus 135. Maybe the hometown robbery is underway, but I don't know, man. I don't think Tampa's known for controversial decisions. Listen, I stay in Tampa myself, and I think the decisions are going to be fair and righteous here. And I think Swanson beats a tough Billy Q over the course of 3 rounds, looking faster, looking cleaner, and catching him with pretty big punches throughout most of the fight. I think we're going to see Billy Q try to wrestle. Swanson's takedown defense hold up, and I think he showcases an evident speed advantage. So Swanson at plus 135, I think is taking it home, but pretty cool chance for Billy Q at home to get a major fight. But I don't think he deserves to be the favorite either. I think that Billy Q, if you base it off recent performances, bro, he should be the underdog. I thought Swanson could have beat Andre Philly. He ends up losing a split decision. I think he's very live to win against Billy Q. So Swanson for the dub. Dub Swanson, we're going to call him, to pull through. Now, I do want to quickly discuss the Degen Props / over-unders. They're all reiterations because these are the fights that I'm confident on. Kape, over 2.5, minus 185. I got a good feeling about this one. Maverick, over 2.5, minus 450. Got a good feeling about that one as well. Both these fights just seem to be destined to go long. Yoel Alvarez by sub, plus 200. Not a crazy big plus money line, but I think a likely outcome. And Petrino by sub at plus 550. Degen Prop. That's the real Degen prop at plus 550, but he's live to win by submission. Strong, good jiu-jitsu from top position, solid wrestling. Jacoby being pretty much, kickboxer. I don't want to call him one-dimensional. I mean, he's relatively sound in every area of the game, but I don't think he's beaten Vitor Petrino. And submission for Petrino at plus 550 seems damn live. Those are the Degen props. You guys know what time it is. I got to jump to everybody's favorite section, the fame section, the one and only parlay section. Make sure you guys smash the likes too. And let's talk. First, Dog Lock City. We're doing a Dog Lock City parlay. We got Padilla and Alvarez for plus 200. I see it happening. We got Padilla, most confident dog. We got Alvarez, very confident favorite for a Dog Lock City play at 2-1 odds. I see it hitting. Now, next up, if you're just looking for a lock play, you want it safety. You don't want any underdog action in there. Petrino and Alvarez, to see either one of them lose, I think would be a big shock. I think at minus 150, it's actually fair odds for a lock. Now, if you want to add a little more heat in, you're putting Navajo Sterling, who's an up-and-coming talent, who's got a big striking advantage, but you're not getting much love for it. It's only minus 109, so there's not like incredible movement here if you throw him in, because unfortunately, he's like, a 7, 8-1 favorite, but it is safe. Now, if you like Alvarez, Petrino, and Manel Kape, plus 114, I think that's safe as well. I like that play a lot. Maybe you don't want to play Kape's line straight. You just want to go Navajo Sterling, Alvarez, Petrino, and Kape's over 2.5. I feel like it's quality. Quality at plus 187. Now, as far as confidence goes, like Alvarez, Petrino, Kape, Sterling, and Maverick, those are the confident picks on the card. Plus 196 to run that up. I think that hits. Then if you're looking for more big money, maybe you throw an underdog Padilla in with Alvarez, Sterling, Petrino, and that Kape over at plus 590. I like that play. You could also replace the over with Kape straight if you would prefer to do that. I think both are pretty viable options for parlays. That's why I say never screenshot and bail, because I got more to say about these parlays. Now, if we clean sweep the confident calls in the lock, we got Padilla, Alvarez, Petrino, Kape, Sterling, and Maverick at plus 609. Lucky number 609. Take the O away, and you're having a lucky night, guys. So the little 6-9 parlay, I like it. That's a sweep. Now, if you want the savage underdog play, you go Padilla and you go Covington at plus 692. I think both of these dogs got live chances, and I spice it up even more towards the bottom. But first, we're going to look at the beastly play, okay? We put two overs, the Kape and Maverick over. We get Petrino, who's confident, Sterling, who's confident, Alvarez, who's confident, and Padilla, who's a confident dog. For plus 727 for a beastly parlay, it's definitely a Degen savage call. But we have a Degen savage dog call with Padilla, Covington, and Swanson for big plus 1761. That's a chase and a half, but you know what? Is it crazy? I don't think so. I don't think it's crazy at plus 1700. Now, to put a little more heat down, maybe you're going Padilla, Alvarez, and Petrino by submission for a little Degen play with, a confident pick in Alvarez, a good underdog in Padilla, and a Petrino Degen sub call if you're all about the Degen stuff. Now, if you just want the Degen props all parlayed up, which I listed in the Degen prop section, you got plus 3,815 if that savagery comes through. Now, you could go Padilla and then Alvarez by sub and Petrino by sub for plus 5,120. Things are getting crazy towards the bottom with these savage Degen calls. I will plan to do a post weigh-in Degen call, so make sure you tune into Friday's final prediction show because after we see the scales, I want to see how I feel about everything, and I feel like I could make one more magical play happen. Unfortunately, there is, some relatively chalky lines on this card, which, kind of limits how good some of these straight confident plays can be. But I feel as though we're putting good guys in the lineup, like Yoel Alvarez to win and Petrino makes a lot of sense. I do think Padilla's a notable up-and-coming talent worth playing, right? The three of them is 3-1 odds. That's pretty damn good. Right, and then if you're like, all right, what about Cub Swanson too? Now you got plus 840. Maybe you don't want nothing to do with Colby Covington. If you do want Colby, it's plus 3,000. But to do a little magic towards the end, Alvarez, Petrino, Padilla, Swanson. What's the next one? Am I crazy, or is Michael Johnson actually one of the most underrated confident picks? You got plus 1299 for that. I think Michael Johnson also wins, but if you're wondering why I left him out, the real reason is because of his chin issues. I'll do one little live Degen play. Alvarez, Petrino, Padilla, the straight, Swanson straight, Manel Kape in the over, and Miranda Maverick, Jamie Lynn Horth. That should also hit at plus 1350 if, the dogs are destined to come through. If you take Swanson out and you just leave my dog lock Padilla, it's plus 517, which I think is pretty good too. There's some good money to be made on some parlays. I'm excited to see the weigh-ins so we get like the final decisions. There's a couple fights that I'm really excited to see the scales for, like Felipe Lima and Miles Johns. I want to see when they face off what the size difference looks like, if anything. So overall, UFC Tampa bringing some fire. This is one of the better fight night cards of the year, and it's in my home city. So shout out to everybody going to the event. I will be right here streaming the whole card on the channel with the fight companion per usual. So make sure you guys tune into that. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Best MMA Bets. Much love to the people watching. Thank you guys for tuning in all year. This week's Best MMA Bets will be back in 2025. Unfortunately, the last episode of this 2024 year. But as far as the channel, I do content every day, regardless of if there's fights on Saturday or not. I'll still be dropping some bangers. So keep your eyes locked in on the channel. I appreciate you guys for watching. Smash the likes on your way out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can hit 42,000 before the end of the year. W's in the comments if you got nothing to say, but I want to hear you guys' locks. Drop them down below. Thank you guys. See you in the next one. Peace out.